Great. Well, thank you, Senator, and thanks for asking the Montana Contractors Association to be here today. I'd like to introduce Scott Olson, who is the president of the Montana Contractors Association this year. And the MCA is a chapter of the Associated General Contractors of America. We're the largest construction trade association in the country. In Montana, we represent more than 300 companies that employ over 5,000 workers. And on behalf of those 5,000 workers, this is a made-for-TV moment.
Oh my
The TV cameras are on. But we'd like to present you with this hard hat for highways on behalf of the AGC of America, the Montana Contractors Association, and our 5,000 workers. And I'm not sure if you want to mess up that great hairdo.
Well, it's absolutely, I'll wear it in good health. Thank you.
But that hard hat is symbolic of the workers and the companies in Montana that depend heavily on a long-term highway bill and highway funding. The TRIP, the Road Information Program, released a report in Montana last month that had some very interesting statistics, and I'll make this report available to your staff and the media. It shows that there's $7.4 billion in transportation funding needed in the state of Montana to bring our highways, bridges, and rural roads up to current standards. And according to their estimates, over the next number of years, there's roughly $1.2 billion available in funding. So that leaves a pretty significant shortfall. The TRIP report showed that 29% of the major urban and state roads in Montana are rated in poor condition. 37% of those roads were rated in mediocre condition. That means they're poised to be rated poorly if we don't do something in the near term to address some of the maintenance concerns on those roads. According to the TRIP report, 7% of our bridges were rated structurally deficient, and that is defined as a deterioration of the bridge deck, supports, or major components.
Just real quick, is that 7% within the state of Montana or national?
That is within the state of Montana, and that would be state and local bridges. So typically a structurally deficient bridge would be posted with a lower weight limit for trucks and maybe some other restrictions and possible even closure. 10% of the bridges were rated as functionally obsolete, meaning that they no longer meet current design standards, they're too narrow or inadequate alignment. Anybody that's come between Bozeman and Helena knows the Toston Bridge. It is a bridge that is scheduled for reconstruction, but that's a classic example of a bridge that's not properly aligned and is dangerous to the traveling public. The TRIP report estimates that vehicle miles traveled in Montana will increase by about 30% between now and the year 2030. That puts even more pressure on our highway and road system. Our transportation needs in Montana are rapidly outpacing our ability to fund the necessary construction costs. Those costs have risen immensely since 1993, when the federal fuel tax was last increased, and the state of Montana responded in kind with increase in the fuel tax. The cost of acquiring right-of-way, the cost of doing environmental reviews, the cost of materials, labor, and virtually everything else associated with construction has gone up significantly. Fuel-efficient vehicles are resulting in less fuel being consumed. Electric cars are coming on the market, which essentially pay no user fee, and that is going to increasingly put pressure on the highway fund. When there's a pot of money available, there's always interest groups standing in line to get at it, and we've seen a incremental at the margin encroachment, I guess, if you will, of many different programs that are funded out of both the federal fuel tax and the state fuel tax. And I think it's time for the federal government and the state government to take a hard look at programs that are funded out of the fuel tax. And what was the fuel tax intended to do? So at the state level, I mean, we're taking a hard look at this as well. And I went on record a couple of weeks ago on behalf of the Contractors Association supporting a 10 cent per gallon fuel tax increase. And the way we characterized it is if the average Montanan drives 20,000 miles a year, gets 20 miles to the gallon in their vehicle, they're burning 1,000 gallons of fuel. A 10-cent per gallon increase in the fuel tax is $100 per year. That's $8 a month. Now, I pay a lot more than that for life insurance, and I'm putting my kids, my grandkids, my spouse, my family out on roads that are narrow, steep shoulders, narrow, no guardrails, improper or not adequate striping, and I look at $8 a month as being pretty cheap life insurance. So that's kind of where the Contractors Association stands. We've got to fund our federal highway program, we've got to fund our state program, and we're working hard to try and accomplish that.
Thanks, Jerry. Deb?